This is Abdullah Kashmullah, Class CIS 126, Introduction to Python. This is Class 3 assignment, which is creating 15 different classes to get used to the syntax of Python and run into the many different errors that will help us understand it more. Now, as I notice in Python, sometimes it does not really point to the error exactly. Sometimes it's like after it or something like that, and it's always pointing to the error after we run the program and we run into that error, which is really important to know if there is an error to avoid it while writing the program. I'm not going to go through them. I'm just going to go through the main ones. For example, this is to calculate the slope. What I do is always define the function, get the user input, then plug them into that function. Rather than getting the input and just do simple steps, it's better to define a function so that in case we want to use it again. Now to run it, I'm gonna get delta x, then it's delta y divided by delta x, and it's gonna get me the slope. And next one, for this one I learned the syntax for the for statement, because unlike the Java, we have kind of different syntax for it, like for x in range, where in Java I learned that it's we create usually variable and we just increase it for each loop until in certain range. So the syntax is a little bit different. And to run this program is going to be the average for numbers. So for example, I want 5 numbers. Number 1 is 3, 7, 2, 6, and 8. The average is 5.2. What it's doing is I have initiated a variable called total, and every time I'm entering a number, it's gonna put it in this total, and it's gonna run n times, which is the user input. For the next one is just a simple, this one is simple, should have displayed this at first. Define a function and multiply the length of the side and make it power 2. I also learned the power 2 because I always thought it's going to be this symbol, and I had to actually Google it to know that it's this one. To run it, it's gonna get the side, and it's the side squared times 6 is going to give me the surface area for the cube. I guess, yes, the cube. The next one, this one is to calculate the distance between 2 points. So it's going to get the first number power 2, the second number power 2, and then the square root of the sum of the two numbers. In this one, I learned that first of all, using the math operations or library. Also, it's to divide my equations rather than trying to put them in one line, which is going to help me to reduce the errors greatly. And to run this program, let's see, 3, 4, 7, and it runs by getting distant points. Should have formatted the output, I guess, but it runs. The next one is to calculate compound interest. As in this class, it's also good to divide the whole equation into smaller pieces so that it's easier to see and do not make many errors. Let's say an amount of money, let's say it's $100 for 10% rate for 3 years, and it's quarterly, so 4 times a year. And it's going to show me the interest and with the total amount. And this one is also to learn the for, so it's going to get the average for a certain amount of numbers. And the last one is to get the complex numbers. So in this case, if the root is gonna less than 0, then I'm gonna get a complex number, which is gonna be a 0 and a 1. And this one I didn't use the complex number, but how do I do it? 3, and if b is less than that and c is greater, so I get the first number negative 1.5 and I. So this is not really a complex number, but it can be put into a complex number and use the complex function in the program.